the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, Week 6 injury update and rankings update. If you hit the description right now, you'll find the DK cheat sheet, and you will find all the rankings completely updated to the moment. They'll be updated again on Sunday morning and Sunday at noon. And just a reminder that the live show, PME Live, myself, Gary and Thorne, will be on the DraftKings YouTube channel at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. That link is already up. You can set yourself a reminder. Hope to see you there. And don't forget to smash the like button on this episode if you want to continue to see all this stuff free. And just as a reminder, this week, if you're looking for the DK ownership show, I've separated the two. So in the comment section, please let me know if you prefer to see them all as one big chunk or two separate videos. The short injury video, and then separately as the DK ownership video. Mike Leone was good enough to join me this week. Check that out. Plus, Sunday afternoon, if you're into DFS, DK, NBA, there is a complete strategy show with Mike Leone and Drew Dinkmeyer to get you ready for the NBA season. But let's get to the injuries. I'm going to fly through these as quickly as I can just to let you know. Devonta Freeman is out with a foot injury. He also has a groin injury apparently as well, but he's not playing in Week 6, leaving Ito Smith and Tevin Coleman. Everyone's firing up Tevin Coleman, as am I. He's a top 15 option this week. On DraftKings, though, he still might be a fade, and Ito Smith at $3,100, if he can pilfer goal line touches again, could end up paying the price and taking away from the bottom line of Tevin Coleman. So watch out for that. I would still prefer TJ Yeldon in that spot over Tevin Coleman, if that's what it comes down to, unless you just desperately need the price savings. If that's the case, just use Ito Smith in GPPs, and you can have some more high-end guys in your lineup. Leonard Fournette is out with the injury. He could return in Week 7. Corey Grant out for the season. TJ Yeldon and the recently signed Jamal Charles will split backfield duties, and by split, I mean TJ Yeldon should play like at least 70%, leaving 30% for Jamal Charles, but it might not even be as close as that. It could be 80-20, 90-10, who knows. I don't expect much from Jamal Charles, but I do expect a little bit from TJ Yeldon. Even in a tough rushing matchup, he's so involved in the passing game that you just got to keep rolling him out there every time that Leonard Fournette sits. Eric Ebron practiced on Friday. It looks like he's going to return. Jack Doyle is going to miss the game with a hip injury. If for whatever reason Eric Ebron cannot go, then we're looking at a situation where Eric Swoop becomes the plug-and-play of Week 6 at tight end. So keep note of that. The injury report in terms of actual inactives, 11:35 Eastern Time on Sunday morning is when those will come out to have definitive news on that. T.Y. Hilton is going to be out. I prefer Chester Rogers the best out of the Indianapolis wide receivers. The Jets are down two of their most important defensive backs, so it shouldn't be that hard for Andrew Luck to get going up against the Jets this week. Marlon Mack will return to the four-headed now backfield of the Colts, along with Jordan Wilkins, Naheem Hines, and Robert Turbin. He is going to be the starter, but that only guarantees, if we believe Frank Wright, that he'll be on the field for the first play. Still like Naheem Hines the best, but I would go out of my way to not start any of the Colts running backs in this matchup. In the Jets side of the ball, Isaiah Crowell is a legitimate game time decision. I've left him in the rankings for the moment, but I will severely elevate Bilal Powell. Like, I would like Bilal Powell more than I would like Tevin Coleman if Isaiah Crowell sits. He becomes a really nice DraftKings play as well, but that's going to be one where we're probably not going to know until actives and inactives are released on Sunday morning, which will keep his ownership down on DraftKings as well. So like I said, in the rankings, Crowell is still in for the moment because we don't have definitive news. You really need to watch out for that one. With the Rams, Kupp and Cooks have not yet passed concussion protocol. They are trending that direction and both going to play. If one of them sits, the late swap onto Josh Reynolds could make a lot of sense. There's weather concerns in that game with cold and with snow, but unless it's a torrential snowfall like we saw with Colts-Bills last season, then I wouldn't be too concerned. In fact, the Rams passing game may make a very intriguing contrarian play in the DraftKings Millionaire Maker this week because of injuries and weather that people are just going to stay away from that situation. And listen, the Rams score more points than anyone. You might want to stick with them in a contrarian spot at the low ownership. Minnesota, Dalvin Cook, he's good to go, practice in full. There's always the fear that he re-aggravates his injury, but you can't play that game. It's a great matchup against Arizona, 10-point favorites at home fire up some Dalvin Cook. You can kick Latavius Murray to the curb, at least for this week. In Cleveland, Rashad Higgins out. Backup Derek Willis broke his collarbone in Friday's practice. That means you can have some more concentrated target share for Jarvis Landry, for Antonio Callaway. Only 4K on DK this week, and David Njoku all make fine plays for your lineups. Anthony Miller will be back for the Chicago Bears. Slow-paced game against the Miami Dolphins, so you don't love any of them, but this does hurt from the bottom line of the sledgehammer. Taylor Gabriel in that spot. Friday practice actually put DeAnthony Thomas in Kansas City out indefinitely, which means I have elevated both Chris Conley and Demetrius Harris in both their separate rankings. You can go check that out. It just takes one other piece out of the pie for this high-scoring Kansas City offense that their touchdown equity slips up just a little bit with DeAnthony Thomas out on the sidelines. On the New England side of the ball, Hogan, Gronk, are both expected to play, so is Josh Gordon. Sony Michel's a bit iffier with his knee injury. It could just be precautionary. We're not going to know, and this is a late game, so it's super tough. If you don't have James White, then you may want to go pick up Kenyon Barner if you have Sony Michel as a last-ditch plug-and-play, because if we don't know about Michel, I would hold out for him in this matchup in order to play him over a lot of people. I still have him ranked, and he's inside the top 12 for the week at running back. So is James White. This is just a matchup that you want to be a part of, so getting as much exposure to it is worth the risk of waiting, unlike the Monday night game, which we'll get to here in a second. In Houston, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Miller, Will Fuller, and Keke Coutee all expected to play. In Washington, the receiving game, Crowder, Paul Richardson, and Josh Doctson, all questionable. Any one of those guys, all three, could sit out at worst case scenario. That means you should have Maurice Harris on your radar, at least from DraftKings purposes. Season long, you probably have better options. But $3,000 for a guy stepping into a starter's role against a Carolina offense or defense that has frankly not looked very good, that's a potential option. In the backfield, Thompson with his ribs, AP with his shoulder, could play. They're more likely to play than more likely to be out, but Capri Bibbs would be next up in line. In Carolina, Greg Olsen is back. At least that's what it seems. He's on track to play, so cut Ian Thomas straight to the curb. You probably don't want to play Greg Olsen in this matchup anyway. He looked horrible coming back from his foot injury last season. That's a wait and see for me. Deserves to be owned, most definitely. But as a play this week, it's a bit iffier. That means you have to downgrade Devin Funchess if Greg Olsen is back as well, because he does his best work when Greg Olsen is watching from the sidelines. In Cincinnati, maybe a better option than Greg Olsen this week. Tyler Kroft is out, so CJ Uzomah is going to get a lot of run, especially against a Steelers defense that's really struggled against tight ends so far. John Ross expected to be back as well. Devontae Parker expected to be back for the Dolphins. Just don't play any Dolphins receiver. It's easy as that. Now, Monday night, this is important because you're going to have to watch the Saturday injury report to see who's more likely to be in than out. Geronimo Allison and Randall Cobb, both dealing with the hamstring injury, both not sure whether they're going to play. It does look like Allison's more likely to play than Randall Cobb. If either one of them sit, then Valdez-Scantling becomes a really nice opportunity once again this week to potentially score a touchdown as big favorites at home against the 49ers. And on the other side of the ball, George Kittle has a knee injury. He's expected to play. Dante Pettis is out, but it's Matt Breida that has us all concerned that mid-ankle sprain, he could come back, which would just throw a wrench into anyone who picked up Alfred Morris or Kyle Juszczyk. I would play both if, obviously, Matt Breida sits. Juszczyk in PPR formats is a nice floor play, but if Breida plays, frankly, you're not going to know until the last second, so I'd go out of my way to find other options unless we know definitively before the 1 o'clock games start on Sunday, and it just doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. If Breida plays, maybe you play him, but you're probably best off looking another direction. That'll do it on the Pat Mayo mini injury update for Week 6. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Hit the ranks and give the show a like, and let me know whether you prefer to see this in 2 separate videos or just one, all right? Someone go win $1 million. It feels like the week that one of the viewers is going to win $1 million, all right? I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!